We start our mornings the same way: a glance at the phone, a tap on the laptop, a swipe across the tablet. Behind every interaction sits the same handful of names: Windows, iOS, Android. These systems have become invisible, woven so tightly into daily life that questioning them feels almost absurd. But in one corner of the world, that invisibility is being challenged. And the consequences could redefine who controls the digital infrastructure we all depend on. Deep inside China's technology heartland, one company is executing a strategy that goes far beyond launching a new product. It's constructing an entirely new digital foundation, one designed to operate independently of the West. This isn't about market share, it's about sovereignty. And if it succeeds, the repercussions won't stay contained within China's borders. From giant to outcast, rewind to 2019. Huawei wasn't just competitive, it was surging. The company's smartphones were outselling Apple in several global markets. Its laptops were being praised by tech reviewers. Revenue was climbing and expansion seemed inevitable. Then the hammer dropped. U.S. sanctions severed Huawei's access to Android updates, Google's app ecosystem, and critical semiconductor supplies. This wasn't a regulatory slap on the wrist, it was a strategic amputation. The company found itself digitally isolated, cut off from the platforms that had powered its entire product line. For most companies, this would have been terminal. For Huawei, it became a turning point. Rather than collapse, the firm pivoted inward. Engineers were redeployed, investments were redirected, and behind the scenes, a new operating system began to take shape, not as a brand play, but as a matter of survival. That system was HarmonyOS. Initially, it was positioned as a contingency plan, a safety net in case relations with Washington deteriorated further. But as the geopolitical environment hardened, so did Huawei's resolve. What started as a defensive maneuver has now matured into something far more ambitious. Today, HarmonyOS runs on more than 800 million devices worldwide. It powers smartphones, tablets, smart TVs, vehicles, wearables, and now desktop computers. What began as an emergency backup has evolved into the backbone of China's push for technological self-reliance. A system built from scratch. HarmonyOS Next, the latest iteration, is not a modified version of Android. It's not a Linux variant. It doesn't rely on any code developed in the United States. This is a ground-up rebuild. At its core lies a microkernel architecture, a design philosophy that prioritizes security and modularity. According to Chinese cybersecurity firm Qihu 360, this structure reduces the system's attack surface to just 1/1000th of what Windows offers. Fewer vulnerabilities mean fewer entry points for malicious actors, a critical advantage in an era obsessed with data protection. But security is only part of the equation. HarmonyOS Next is engineered to work seamlessly with domestically produced chips, including Huawei's Kirin 9000 series and the Ascend 910B AI processor. The latter now operates in over 1,300 Chinese data centers, serving as a homegrown alternative to NVIDIA's restricted A100 chips. This tight integration between hardware and software allows Huawei to optimize every layer of the system, from silicon to interface. It eliminates reliance on Intel, AMD, or Qualcomm. And it positions Huawei to capitalize on China's rapidly expanding AI infrastructure without waiting for foreign approval. Perhaps most striking is what's missing. No Google Play Store, no Microsoft compatibility layers, no fallback to Android apps. The file system, user interface, cloud services, and core productivity tools all rewritten. Everything from email to document editing is now handled by Huawei's own software suite. This isn't incremental improvement. It's digital separation by design. Performance meets reality. So how does it actually perform? Early testing by the China Software Testing Center shows HarmonyOS Next booting 32% faster than Windows 11 on comparable hardware. Memory usage during multitasking is roughly 29% lower, resulting in snappier transitions and reduced system lag. Chinese tech reviewers describe the experience as polished. Smooth animations, responsive controls, minimal bloat. On the surface, it behaves like a mature operating system, but step outside the basics, and limitations emerge. HarmonyOS currently supports around 15,000 native desktop applications. Huawei has pledged to expand that to 100,000 by the end of 2025. For context, Windows offers access to more than 660,000 apps, spanning every conceivable use case, from enterprise management tools to niche creative software. According to App in China, only 6% of the top 1,000 international desktop applications are available on Huawei's platform. That means no native Zoom, no Adobe Photoshop, no full-featured Microsoft Office suite. For students relying on specific academic tools, for creatives working with industry-standard software, or for businesses using global collaboration platforms, this is a deal-breaker. Huawei insists that major Chinese developers are on board and that more international apps will follow. But timelines remain unclear and commitments are vague. For now, HarmonyOS Next works brilliantly if you stay inside the ecosystem. But the moment you need something from the outside world, the walls become visible. Silicon Valley is watching. Microsoft hasn't issued public statements about HarmonyOS, but its actions speak clearly. Back in 2020, Windows held an impressive 82% market share in China. By the middle of 2025, that figure had slipped to 79%, according to IDC. With HarmonyOS now shipping on Huawei's new MateBook line, that decline is, well, accelerating. In January 2025, Microsoft quietly opened a new research and development hub in Beijing, focused on adapting products for China's shifting tech landscape. Leaked internal documents obtained by the information describe HarmonyOS as a sustained threat to OS-level dominance in sovereign markets, especially within state-owned enterprises and government institutions. Microsoft isn't alone in its concern. NVIDIA, despite being officially barred from selling advanced AI chips to Huawei, acknowledged in a recent SEC filing that it is monitoring the expansion of sovereign AI stacks in Asia, a thinly veiled reference to systems like HarmonyOS and Huawei's AI framework, Mindspore. Even Amazon Web Services is proceeding cautiously. A senior AWS executive speaking anonymously to the Wall Street Journal admitted, "We underestimated how fast China could build a software stack we don't control." The anxiety in Silicon Valley isn't just about lost revenue. It's about losing the power to define what the digital future looks like, and you know who gets to set the rules. The ecosystem lock-in. HarmonyOS isn't just an operating system, it's a unifying layer across an entire hardware portfolio. Huawei calls this the super device framework. In practice, it allows phones, tablets, laptops, smartwatches, and even home appliances to share processing power, memory, and storage in real time, locally without cloud dependency. You can drag a file from your phone to your laptop, edit it on a tablet, and send it to print from a smart display. All of this happens instantly, without uploading anything to external servers. China Media Group reported that a 1 gigabyte PowerPoint presentation with 100 slides opened in 1 second, even with a dozen apps running simultaneously. According to Huawei's first quarter 2025 report, more than 230 million devices are now linked through this system. The user experience is seamless if you own multiple Huawei products, but if you don't, the magic disappears. This is a walled garden by design. And unlike Apple's ecosystem, which at least allows some third-party integration, Huawei's approach is far more restrictive. For users in China, where Huawei devices are already widespread, the system feels complete. For everyone else, it's a beautiful cage, elegant, functional, and entirely controlled by a single gatekeeper. A national strategy, not just a corporate one. HarmonyOS isn't just Huawei's vision, it's a cornerstone of China's broader technological sovereignty agenda. Since 2020, Beijing has been aggressively pushing a policy framework known as Secure and Controllable, building a technology stack, from chips to software, that operates entirely within domestic borders. By early 2025, government offices in Guangdong, Hubei, and Jiangsu provinces had already begun deploying HarmonyOS across their systems. China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology has directed public institutions to fully transition to domestic operating systems by 2027. Huawei is positioned to be the primary beneficiary. In 2024 alone, the company invested approximately 180 billion yuan, roughly $25 billion, in research and development, with heavy emphasis on software infrastructure, chipset integration, and AI capabilities. CEO Ren Zhengfei confirmed that another $25 billion is earmarked for 2025. This isn't about consumer appeal, it's about building the plumbing of a new digital state. And the implications extend beyond China's borders. Countries facing U.S. sanctions, or those wary of American surveillance, are paying close attention. If HarmonyOS proves stable and scalable, it could become an export, a digital independence package for nations seeking modern infrastructure without Western dependencies. This isn't just competition, it's the construction of an alternative digital reality. The question that remains: this story isn't about one company challenging another. It's about who controls the invisible infrastructure that shapes modern life. If China succeeds in building a fully self-sufficient digital ecosystem, one that no longer depends on Silicon Valley, it will fundamentally alter the balance of global technological power. Not through headlines or product launches, but through quiet, methodical decisions, replicated across millions of devices. And if that model spreads, if other nations follow suit, what happens to the systems the rest of the world still takes for granted? The rules are being rewritten. The code is being recompiled. The only question left is, who decides what comes next? If this story made you think differently about the technology you use every day, share it. Subscribe for more deep dives into the forces shaping our digital future. Because the most important changes don't always make noise. They happen in the code.